Greetings. This is the Global Take with me, Ariel Cohen, and I would like to talk now about the ceasefire between the Islamist organization Hamas in Gaza and Israel. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that this bout of fighting would happen if Hamas did not shoot rockets into Israel first? The answer is no, it wouldn't have happened. There was a ceasefire before. Hamas broke the ceasefire for reasons it clearly understood will lead to this escalation and to these horrible casualties in Gaza. Why? Because Israel has the overwhelming force, and you cannot blame any country that if 4,000 rockets are shot in its territory, it would respond. Imagine the US, which is 30 times bigger than Israel, was attacked with 30 times more rockets, 120,000 rockets. What would US do if it came from Mexico, if it came from Canada, or one province of Mexico or Canada? So that's the first point. The second point is, do me a favor, go online to Google and find the Hamas charter. This is their establishment document. That document says that they don't recognize the existence of Israel. So when they scream about free Palestine, they're not talking about Gaza. Gaza was liberated by Israel, or the Israeli occupation of Gaza ceased in 2006. Hamas is controlling Gaza. It killed people who controlled Gaza before them, or at least many of them, people from the Palestine Liberation Organization. And free Palestine means the ethnic cleansing of what's today Israel from the Jews. Moreover, the Hamas charter is talking about killing Jews wherever they are, quoting the Hadith, the commentary on the Quran that talks about killing the Jews at the day of judgment, the end of times. So there is the end of times, what is called eschatology, that includes the genocide of the Jews. This is the organization the Israelis are dealing with. And one last thing is that the events leading to this flare-up in violence were weaponized both by Hamas and by Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, that's the West Bank. The Palestinian Authority is led by a man called Mahmoud Abbas. The nom de guerre, the war name, is Abu Mazen, and that gentleman overstayed his welcome as a president of the Palestinian Authority only by 12 years. He was elected for a 4-year term and then stayed in office for 12 more years. So now altogether, it's 16 years. He is in his mid-80s. He is old and ailing, and Hamas was making a move to demonstrate to the Arab masses in the West Bank that they are the next power to come and take over the West Bank away from the old and corrupt leadership of the Palestinian Authority. And then what? And then create an Islamist entity like in Gaza, where they ban music at weddings, where they murder gay people or women they accuse of infidelity, or anybody who they decide is an Israeli spy or an enemy of the Hamas leadership. That is what the Israelis have to deal with. And in my opinion, yes, it's tragic what happened in terms of casualties, but any country, any society, any state that wants to protect its citizens has to do what it has to do to stop the violence, and Israel did. If Israel did not have the Iron Dome anti-missile defense system, the casualties would be much, much higher. Up to 90% of the rockets sent by Hamas were intercepted, and the casualties, including children in Israel, were the result of only 10% of the rockets that Hamas fired getting through. If, God forbid, that system did not exist, it would be much worse in terms of casualties on the Israeli side. And the Hamas leadership understood that if they start this and their people get killed, they will get a lot of money. They'll get donations from Qatar, which is their big sugar daddy, from Iran, that funds Palestinian Islamic Jihad, another terrorist organization. And by the way, Hamas is recognized as a terrorist organization by the US State Department and by all of the European Union, and by many Arab countries as well, by the way. So we cannot paint Israel with a black brush here. It was the attacked party. It had the right for self-defense. And as tragic as it is, imposing this ceasefire that was imposed by the United States and was supported by Egypt and Europe and everybody else just perpetuates this tragic conflict. I cannot predict whether it'll take a year, 2 years, maybe 5 years or 7 years, but unfortunately, sooner or later, as long as Hamas is in power, as long as they're getting money, oh, by the way, I forgot Turkey. Turkey is another great financier of terrorism in the Gaza Strip. As long as they're manufacturing these deadly weapons, this cycle of violence, as they call it, unfortunately will continue, and only with a fundamental change and recognition that these two peoples are supposed to live in peace. There's a lot of similarities between Jews and Arabs, actually. I have family in Israel. I lived there. I know that these people are not pre-programmed to hate each other. It's the ideology, it's weaponizing of religion, it's weaponizing of information, it's accusations of most evil things that really don't exist, like the words like apartheid, the words like occupation and oppression. If you really look at the Israeli society where Jews and Arabs live side by side, there's no apartheid. People work together in hospitals and companies, serve together in the police forces. This is vile information warfare against Israel, and it's very difficult to get through the fog of war in the information sphere in particular. Unfortunately, I do not have a happy ending to announce, but understanding the reality of this conflict and not buying the cliches, not buying the information warfare is an important part of us as a society, as people who are interested in international affairs, to understand it and not to buy somebody's propaganda line. This was the Global Take, and please, if you like it, follow us on YouTube and subscribe on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to get more content like this.